Oh, come on. Oh, this is bad. Wow. Just wow. I can't take it. I just can't take it anymore. I really can't. But before I go any further, I'm required to say that for the YouTube censors and the Karens and the other maskholes that this video might be watching, this video does not contain any comments on the effectivity of masks. It will also not talk about the coronavirus, the value of effectiveness or of any treatment or source or cure of any disease. It does not give any medical advice or even opinion. But fuck these maskholes who berate us over the head with their opinion and who continue to get away with it constantly need to crawl back into their holes and leave the rest of us alone. Welcome back to Renegade News, and let's just get right into it. So the other day, I get a call from a family member who's staying in one of my condos, and they tell me that they're out playing pickleball, just the two of them, on a completely deserted court outside of the building. It's hot as hell, so they're not wearing a mask, which would be dangerous, and there's absolutely no one around. But some nosy neighbor, with no life of his own apparently, takes the extraordinary effort to walk up the stairs towards the court and to take their picture so that me, as the apartment owner, would get fined for one of my family members not wearing a chin diaper out in the burning sun while exercising. I am not going to lie, the string of expletives that came out of my mouth at that moment probably would have made a sailor's ears bleed. Because I mean, why the hell do some people feel so compelled to ruin other people's lives over something that doesn't put anyone else at risk? I mean, to be clear, it was hot, it was sunny, and there was no one anywhere in the vicinity. After I calmed down, though, I realized that it was all this religion of maskholism. The author of the sedevactinist delusion, John C. Petrello, defines maskholes as people who, first of all, wear a mask at all times without questioning the mandate, without questioning the efficacy of the mask for its prescribed application, and two, more importantly, think that it's their civic duty to enforce mask wearing on human beings. And while the term has been hijacked to flip the narrative and describe those who prefer not wearing the masks, it really doesn't make any sense in that context, so I choose to ignore them and that entire definition. Anyway, maskholes are part of a specific political and ideological group that we're going to get into a second. And really, it's a cult. And personally, I think that maskholism is a disease that demands deep psychological help, just like involvement in a cult, before it's too late. And it has nothing to do with the masks themselves. It's this religious fervor of demanding that others bow down to their beliefs, even in cases where complying or not complying with their belief has zero effect on anyone. For example, in your own house, alone in your car, in a deserted field, or out on the beach. And as I looked into this more, I've realized that the desired compliance has nothing to do with your health or their beliefs that your compliance is keeping anyone else safe, but that it's your lack of universal compliance, even in cases where it's obvious to everyone that it doesn't matter, put anyone at risk, or have anything to do with your health, symbolizes that you're not willing to grovel at the idols that they've built up and worship. And that's something the maskhole cultists just can't tolerate. According to the senior editor at the American Conservative, Helen Andrews, masks are the new duck and cover drills that we used to have during the Cold War. They're a way to make you feel better that you're doing something, regardless of whether or not you really are or you aren't. But there's much more to be said about masks becoming the symbol during this pandemic. And we've known about many of them for years. In the 1991 novel, The Plague, one of the characters visits the hospital where the plague patients are being kept. Upon entering the hospital, he's given a mask. When he asks the doctor if it's useful, he's told that no, but it's inspired confidence in others. And it's not just in fiction. According to the New England Journal of Medicine, it's also clear that masks serve symbolic roles. They say the masks are not only tools, they are also a talisman that may help increase healthcare workers' perceived sense of safety, well-being, and trust in their hospitals. Although such reactions may not be strictly logical, we are all subject to fear and anxiety, especially during times of crisis. One might argue that fear and anxiety are better countered with data and education than with a marginally beneficial mask, particularly in light of the worldwide mask shortage. But it's difficult to get clinicians to hear this message in the heat of the current crisis. In a study entitled The Face Mask, How a Real Protection Becomes a Psychological Symbol During COVID-19. Authors explain that the mask has become a byword and a precious possession universally. They state that the mask is perhaps the most powerful psychological symbol for the general public, and that it even undermines all other recommended practices of infection control and breaking the transmission of chain of COVID-19, like hand washing, personal hygiene, and social distancing. So it's no wonder then that the mask has become such a powerful psychological symbol of this pandemic. And it has also become one of the most polarizing aspects of living in this current climate. The problem is that while many of us believe that people should have the freedom to use common sense, for example, wearing a mask in a crowded indoor environment, but not in a deserted field, the Maskhole cultists believe that a rule is a rule, regardless of whether or not the rule makes any sense. And that's where we come to the political divide in this religion of Maskholism. Because while people on both the left and the right side of the political spectrum believe in wearing masks and should wear masks in certain situations, maskholes are almost exclusively found on the political authoritarian left side of the aisle. Town Hall cites 6 reasons for this, and the reasons fit perfectly towards the religion of Maskholism, so I'm going to replace the term leftist in their article with maskhole. Number 1, maskholes love one-size-fits-all approaches. Number 2, maskholes love to control other people, especially those they disagree with ideologically. Number 3, maskholes love big government mandates. Number 4, maskholes love to suppress free speech they disagree with, especially if it comes from medical professionals and scientists on the opposite side of their views. Number 5, maskholes despise personal freedom. And number 6, maskholes hate seeing other people happy when they aren't. The article goes on to say that maskholes, or should I say leftists, are generally miserable people who get twisted pleasure from trying to make the lives of others as sad as their own. And that sounds a lot like the disciples of Maskholism to me. Fortunately, in many places, people are fighting back against Maskholism and the government tyranny that its disciples love so much. For example, on July 18th, the Health Freedom Defense Fund and 2 Florida residents filed a lawsuit asking the United States District Court in Tampa, Florida, to strike down the CDC's nationwide mask mandate for travel. According to the Renegade Tribune, members of the Health Freedom Defense Fund feel strongly that they should not and cannot be forced to wear masks, and that no one should have the power to force another person to cover their airway. But other places are clamping down harder and are implementing new and harsher rules for wearing masks. Dr. Fauci is talking about a nationwide mask mandate at this time. They're even offering rewards to do so, not that maskholes need any more incentive. But that's one more reason that here at Renegade News, we recommend having a backup plan by creating an international identity so that you always have the freedom to move and live in the locations that have your best interest at heart. To learn more about how to create this international identity, we've created a brand new free playbook that you can download by following a link in the first pinned comment. But what do you think? Are maskholes reporting people for not wearing a mask, even in places where they possibly can't make any difference or don't make sense at all? Are they just being good citizens? Or are they in need of deep psychological help? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, peaceful resistance is not futile. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you click on the link in the description and subscribe right now so that every week you get the inside scoop on the latest infringements and wins in your fight for more freedom and liberty. If you enjoyed this edition of Renegade News, please hit the like and the share buttons. We would really appreciate it.